So,
Hmm.
my thoughts were this spell that can allow us to make balls of ice. If we ever needed to, something like along the lines of mixing Tom's abilities with this orb's abilities. Say, for example, drilling a hole into it or burning a hole into the middle, placing a flame there, and then at Tom's choosing, fuel the flame as high as he can to cause it to explode. I think might be very effective.
Um, it could technically, but we'd had to seal it from the other side probably. Usually, any um, sort of the way that expansion works would probably need that. If it was just pure heat, probably. If it's a flame, um, I might have a hard time.
Well, what if we tested?
Um, guys, just to make sure, I need to see the fire,
That's why we drill a
like a
hole.
direct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Um.
I'm just saying.
Right.
Yeah. Line of sight is necessary.
Well, here's a
Hmm.
question, Inferno. This time, then, can I roll a
Okay.
chemistry roll to see if I would have an understanding of what the principles behind it were?
Sure.
All right. Let's try that.
I like it.
And it is okay. So I failed
Yeah?
by 7.
Oh, you failed by 7?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I
So,
made a little macro. So if it's a minus, that's how much I succeeded by. If it's positive, that's how
oh,
much I failed by.
Yeah.
that's nice. That's a good macro.
Yeah.
All right, so that's an excellent macro. Actually, I'm impressed. All right, so you failed by 7.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have tip of the tongue syndrome right now in this conversation for the day or so, right? You want to explain it, you know it's in your head somewhere, but you just can't quite articulate it properly. You know
Got
what
it.
I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's I'll use that to guide you in your role play.
So what I'll say is, you might be right, Patrick. I seem to think that it might not need to be closed off at the other end, but I'm not sure. But we could always test it out. And I was thinking all kinds of interesting things we could do with it. Maybe we could make one of the giant balls, then turn part of that ball to wine, and then set it on fire and set it rolling. That would be interesting.
Well,
That's cool.
I actually tried something similar, and I haven't tested it, but ice might not be affected by the whole water to wine thing. It might need to be a bit more
Watery.
water than
Yeah.
ice.
Hmm. Well, it would have to be
Last time
something.
I tried to do it with mud, it kind of didn't work so well.
Well, it's possible that it just needs to be water. It's also possible that maybe the dirt was preventing you. Maybe because ice is pure water. Maybe it would work, maybe not. I honestly don't know. It might be worth testing.
You'd have to test it out. So
Mhm.
saith God, who is right now thinking
So-
really hard. You motherfuckers.
So would Patrick be opposed to, like, say, taking the orb out for an afternoon and just testing different things? And Tom too, I
Ooh.
assume. We could
It
do it
would.
away from Lee.
Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't do the wine in front of Lee then.
Well,
It would be very hard.
right. That's what I say. Do it away from Lee.
Mm, yeah, I guess.
I mean, we've got 7 days. I'm sure we can find a time where we can be away from Lee far enough to try certain things.
Yeah, I'm just concerned with like if he just happens to like want to try and find us and then sees the wine and that's like
Well, what he would see is a giant ball of red stuff that kind of smells like alcohol. I agree. I'd rather avoid it, but if it's on fire, I'm pretty sure his urge to drink it won't be that great.
I it's still
It's
it's
worth
still
testing.
like
I understand. I get it. But this is something that could save our butts one day.
true.
I
True.
I will say this. Um, Patrick would agree to everything but wine testing.
Why can't we just do it away from Lee? If we're like 10
I
miles down the road,
Patrick
how,
doesn't want any chances.
if we are 10 miles down the road, there's no way Lee could get to us in time. It is literally a non-issue. I mean, look, I can fly. I can do it 20 miles away. I can make it so that it's almost impossible for Lee to even know what's going on, much less make it there in time. He's not a shark. He can't smell wine from 20 feet in water. You know?
Yeah.
How do you know?
I honestly,
I'm kidding.
I honestly would want to tell Lee that we're doing some experiments and we're going to be driving like half a day out. He needs to stay away though. I would want to tell him.
That's fine. I'm absolutely fine
so
with
that he can make the conscious effort to not go.
I am absolutely fine with that. That might actually be good for him.
Yeah.
You know, I any small victory is still a victory kind of thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Patrick, would that be acceptable?
Yes.
Okay. Then I agree to that. And if he doesn't feel, if Lee feels that's not okay, then we won't do it.
Yeah.
Well, he's more going to question why we're doing that.
Alcohol may be involved.
Yes.
All right.
Like, honestly, I'm fine being completely truthful with Lee. Like I said, if it gives
No.
Lee an opportunity to consciously choose not to go,
And
if that makes sense. Yeah.
I would want to tell him this could potentially save our lives
One day.
if this works.
Well,
It's all theoretical right now, but we just want to see what happens.
Okie dokie. Sir, you guys are still kind of in the planning phase thing, but whenever you want, we can roleplay the conversation or not. It's up to you guys, but I'll wait till you guys get 100% consensus. It sounds like we're close to that point anyway.
I'm for it. The only thing is, who should tell Lee? I know Patrick is best buds with Lee. Would Patrick want to tell him? I mean, when I say best buds, I mean like he's obviously got the best relationship with Lee.
Yes.
Yes.
Lee likes Patrick the best. Yes.
But I don't know if Patrick would be comfortable doing that one. Doing it, or if he'd want someone else to.
Well, now that he's sobering up, I wouldn't mind doing it.
All right. Patrick would do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, all right.
Jeez. All right.
Oh, you're thinking. Okay. Like long silences.
I'm sorry.
Tell you
I'm
what,
just
since
going through a few
Tom is
things.
interested in doing this and you're interested in doing that, why don't you guys just tell them together? Sound good?
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
As a group.
All right. So to set this scene, Lee is currently unpacking a lot of his items, getting his own little kind of area set up, just the way he likes it. Sees you approach, kind of cocks an eye.
Hey, we need to talk to you for a bit.
He gives a questioning look and he says, "Okay, well, go ahead and talk."
We have come up with an idea that could potentially save our asses further down the line. We're going to be driving out, taking a little trip, about half a day's travel from here.
Okay.
And conducting these experiments. However, Patrick, Al, and I felt that it was necessary to tell you that alcohol might be involved.
Oh. Well, then you don't want me to come along with you then. So there's no we in this whole situation.
Yes, that's why we were warning you.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'll just stay here. I'll keep an eye on Mila and the rest of them, and you guys have fun.
Well, maybe.
And he
If
pauses for a
things-
second, and he asks, "Wait, you're going to be doing? You told me you guys would get rid of all the booze that's on the behemoth, right?"
Patrick?
Patrick actually looks over at Tom with a like knowing stare.
Mm-hmm.
This was exactly what I was concerned about as a player.
As a GM, heads up.
Mhm.
There was also Elok has dandelion wine that he keeps somewhere, and he offers during dinner time.
Al was going to step in and say, we don't actually have it. We're just going to acquire it when we go out. Which isn't a lie.
It's true.
Lee
But I'm not
looks at you.
saying it.
Lee's looking at all of you and being like, "Oh, okay, you're going to acquire it."
Yeah.
Besides, I hope you're not going to be bringing any of it back. It's been a few days now, and it's I'm gonna be honest with you, it's getting kind of rough. So
Lee, I promise you we will be setting it all on fire.
Yeah. Tom will have a big old smile.
okay, well, good luck, and be careful. It's fucking crazy. I mean, we're in the middle of nowhere, right? So
And Al will pause a little concerned, and be, Lee, I have some suppressants if you think it would help. Nothing too
No.
powerful, but all right.
nope, I'm not gonna be living on those suppressants the rest of my life, am I?
No, absolutely not. I understand.
Then there's no point in me starting.
Al will nod.
Okay. All right. So you let them know, so you can go off and do your experimentos.
Yes.
So okay. Well, here's the big question. Since I gave you the lay of the landscape, north, south, east, and west, whereabouts are you going? Like at least approximately what direction, and how far out are you going? This matters quite a bit.
I would think that, and Al can scout it ahead too if he needs to. Find an open area where, preferably some sort of patch without trees, so that we don't have to worry about setting trees on fire. Though we do have someone that can extinguish flames, but better safe than sorry. Somewhere wide open ground, preferably, and at least, what would you guys say? At least, well, here's a good question. In this terrain, how fast can the ATV reasonably go?
Depends on what direction you can go. But the clearest area with the least amount of trees is definitely back east, back towards the lake. There's going to be some patches that are kind of soggy that you can kind of see, but as far as speed goes in that terrain, you can probably go up almost 50 miles per hour in some areas, while going through the light woods to the south and the east, maybe you can get up to 30 miles per hour at a constant rate, and going up north where it gets thicker, oh my goodness, you'll just be going over walking speed, maybe a little bit faster, maybe 20 miles per hour.
I think if
maybe
we headed east and just traveled for an hour to get 40 to 50 miles away, that should be plenty of distance.
Yes.
I mean, they shouldn't even,
Yeah.
I would think, wouldn't even be able to hear it from there unless we have a much bigger boom than we're expecting.
Yeah, I can see that.
So,
Okie dokie.
yeah, Al can scout
You're-
ahead and then...
Not a worry. I'll just say as a GM, I'll wave my magic fingers, and you are able to find a clearing. It's a piece of land raised, kind of a small plateau in a way, For the for the land around it is a little bit muddy, but you find a good dry area that extends a period of about 500 feet in circumference that doesn't have any trees on it. It has some low bushes, and some grassland, long wild grasses. But other than that, it's probably would be a sufficient area for you.
Okay.
So let's, how about we focus for this little scene here on what exactly you are going to try to experiment with, and I can let you know in game its efficacy. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. So,
All right.
the two I have planned, and of course you guys, if you come up with any other ideas of things to test, by all means. There's three things that I have an idea to test. First and foremost would be just make a giant ice ball and see if we can turn the ice ball or maybe the outside of it or something to wine. The second one would be, if that works, then how about we create a fog-like mist? I think it can create like a dense mist type thing. Can we turn that to wine? Because then we could set that on fire and just make a cloud of fog fire.
Okay.
That'd be a fuel air bomb. What the hell?
Holds up. All right. I can. Oh, sorry. You were still going with your description.
And then I was gonna say, and then the third one would be to make an ice ball, drill a hole to the center, put a flame in there, and then have Tom super fuel it.
Okay. All right. Let's go step by step here. Okay. Luckily, okay. I'll go with first things first. First things first. The cloud of steam that you're talking about. The cloud of steam that generates is significant. It covers a 30-foot area. Unfortunately, when you cast or attempt to cast the water wine spell around that area, nothing takes. The steam does not turn into a hazy mist. It just does not work. Now, when you attempt the water to wine over the ball of ice, however, you find there's a strange reaction to it. When you first create the ball of ice and it is solid, frozen solid, it doesn't seem to work. However, as it sits there in the sun, the exterior begins to melt a little bit, clearly, and it's that melted water sheen in which you would try again to cast water into wine, and then the watery sheen around, completely enveloping the entire org, does turn into wine. Does that make sense so far?
It does.
Okay. All right. Now we're on to the orb part. Okay. So you summon the orb. It's right there. Big old 10-foot ball of solid ice. What do you use to try to bore a hole in it?
Well, my first thought would be one of my wing lasers, so we don't waste ammo. My other thought could be Vibroblade or Tom's sword. Any of those should work.
Well, let's try them, shall we? First is wing lasers.
Yes.
You shoot it once towards the center, and you manage to bore a decent hole into it. But it's only about, sorry, when I say decent hole, I mean it's about a 3-inch hole, a big pock mark that hits it right in the center, right? Now, in order for you to keep boring a hole in it, you're going to have to hit that exact same spot. It's not impossible, but it's tricky. What I'm going to say is I'm going to give a percentile chance to this, all right?
Okay.
I'm going to say there's a 40% chance that you're able to consistently hit that place, hit the same spot over and over again, that you are able to bore a hole to the center of the ice ball, okay? No problem. 40% chance, no problem. So I will say 0 to 40, you got that, right? From 40 to 60% chance, you're able to, once again, bore a hole right to the center using the wing lasers. However, you've missed a few times, and it has created some significant craters outside of the ice ball, which kind of it limits its structural capacity. We'll
Got
just
it.
say, all right. And then from 60 to 100, another 40% chance is that you just fuck up. You're not able to get a consistent beat on it enough times that it's starting to just chip away at the entire ice ball, and it's starting to become a bit of a mess.
All right. Al would, I guess after trying that once, say the wing lasers are probably a last resort. Let's try something else.
Okay, doke. So then the other one, other suggestion was Vibroblade.
Yes.
Now now Inferno is going to give an out of character explanation for this. That ball of ice is a mega damage structure, for lack of a better word, because it is so solid and so hard. It requires some mega damage to it, right? Now, of course, the sword itself is also mega damage. So this would be the equivalent of an SDC ice chip picking away at an SDC ice block, right? So it can be done, and a lot more accurate than the wing laser, right? But it just takes a lot of time and a lot of muscle work, all right? It doesn't slide in like, a knife through butter. So that's for the standard blade. However, with the fire sword, that mega damage fire, that does slide through to the center of it like a hot knife through butter. Maybe it's the magic, maybe it's the mega damage fire, but it bores a perfect hold right to the center of the orb when you experiment that way. Okay?
All right. Nicely
Sounds
done,
good.
Tom.
Yeah, so we have the difference between inaccurate, time-consuming, and works like a charm, right?
Yeah.
So, now you have a giant ball, 10-foot ball of ice with a hole in the center of it, or like a hole going from the exterior to the center of it. Now what do you do?
I have an idea, and I will
Uh-huh.
say this in character.
Okay.
Right. So, because the outside melted, we were able to turn that into wine.
Yes.
Okay. Because I used the fire sword, did the center melt?
Oh, quite a
lack of a
bit.
better
In
term.
fact, but as it melts, the water hits the mega damage flame, instantly evaporating the water into steam.
Darn.
Al nods and he says, I wish I could get a better grasp on what I read, but I don't know if just setting something on fire will work. It was something about the extreme heat. It wasn't simply a matter of expansion. The heat did something to the ice, the water. It broke it down somehow and caused it to explode, which means that we need immense heat.
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking was, like, if there was still water inside of that little channel that I made, we could turn that into wine and use that as sort of like a candle wick. I could light that, then we back off, and then I could super fuel that.
So you do need some sort of catalyst to keep a flame going.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Fire is fuel, air, and a spark.
Well, if we were to actually, if this were to work, obviously the simplest thing would just to be buy some candles. But for the time being,
Yeah. I could fuel it with my mind, but it requires an active source of flame already.
right. Well, how about this? For the time being, why don't we could create some wine, some water, wine, put it in there, set it on fire. We could soak a rag and set that on fire. We could do it a number of ways. Next time we're in town, we might want to just pick up some candles. But for the time being, I'm Sure, we can find a bit of cloth and soak it in some sort of wine.
What do you think, Patrick?
Patrick, are you muted?
It's deep in thought.
Yes,
Yes,
I'm
very
muted.
deep
All right.
thought.
So we're trying to just get water in there.
We're just trying to
Yeah,
get an
into
open flame in
the
there.
channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not water so much as just we need a flame in there for him to superheat.
Yeah.
So
Somewhere
we're thinking
towards
water
the
to
center.
wine as a wick, basically.
Yeah.
The ball also has a means of creating just water.
Right. I was
Yeah, if
thinking
you
that
wait
as well.
long enough, water will just pool inside that hole.
Actually, wait.
Yeah, but
even that burn. Can't you just sustain a small flame long enough to actually melt a little bit of water into that hole? Not a mega damage flame, just a regular, less intense flame. Heat it up a bit.
something in that small channel will be very, very complicated. And it is precision work. Tom isn't that precise. I mean, he might have learned some precision from the storytellers, but that was the main shtick that he was working on. Was
So wait.
precision.
Even if we get a flame down there, you're saying it's going to be difficult to super fuel it?
No, as long as I
No,
see
getting
it.
a flame down there just out of nothing is going to be hard for him.
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
If I were to just do that small channel, it would take a lot of concentration and a lot of precision to do that small channel.
Got it.
But if there already is one, I can just go and boom. Hopefully. It's the idea.
Wait, I got an idea. GM,
Yo.
what happens if I shoot a small stone with a wing laser or something? Would it just evaporate? Would it heat up? What would happen?
It would explode
Okay, then. Never mind. I have no
into
idea.
giant stony chunks or tiny stony chunks.
It's mega damage.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive the orb itself can just summon water if your guys are
Yeah.
looking for water.
Well, let's
It
do
can.
that. Well, we were looking at all our options here. That is certainly one. Let's just try that one.
All right, water splashes into the hole. It can be converted into wine,
All right.
and it can be used as a catalyst. So now the center of the ball is there's a little flame, and it's starting to kind of melt the center a little bit. Clearly,
Let's quickly back up to Tom.
Yeah,
how far?
Yeah,
this is important.
Tom, how
This
far do you
Very
need to be?
important.
I can be up to 800 feet away.
Okay, let's do that.
So,
You don't have 800 feet worth of. You have about, I'll say about 600 feet before you start to get into some other trees now.
Okay.
Because remember, we
let's
found a clearing.
let's hide behind a tree just in case.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
600 feet. Give me a moment.